Hey everyone, and welcome. Today I have the pleasure of introducing Gabriele, one of our students at Unger Academy since last September, who's here to share his experience with us. Hi Gabriele, welcome.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you.
All right, let's get started. Tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do for a living, and what's your background?
Okay, well, I have an economics background. I graduated with a degree in economics, but I eventually moved away from that field because, well, I've always worked in the leather industry in various roles, and the most recent being in sales. Then, in June, I left my job and I started dedicating myself more seriously to trading. I had already been doing discretionary trading for some time, buying and selling stocks, but I'd never approached it systematically. Since I had been interested in systematic trading for quite a while, I took the opportunity to start learning from an academy recognized for its results and dive into algorithmic trading. And this meant learning both the programming side, something that I had never done before, but also how to develop trading systems to approach the markets in a more structured way. Now, one of the biggest challenges that I faced with discretionary trading was deciding the right timing for entering trades. Often, things like emotions and indecision would hold me back. And that is why I decided to delegate this task to the system by automating the process, ensuring that decisions would be made and based more on statistical analysis rather than emotions.
Got it, thanks. Just to clarify, are you now a full-time trader?
Yeah, you could say that. A few months ago, around December, I've gone live, and I did so relatively quickly. You see, I dedicated myself full-time to training and launched my first live portfolio of strategies, starting with a small amount to learn how to manage live trading. And you know, live trading is completely different from studying or even practicing with a demo account. In demo trading, you're not risking real money. So no matter how realistic you try to make the conditions, the emotional aspect is missing. And even with algorithmic trading, emotions don't disappear completely. You still have to train yourself to handle them. And the best way to do that is by going live in small steps and gradually increasing position sizes as you gain confidence in your system.
And what challenges were you facing before joining our program?
As I mentioned, one of my biggest challenges was deciding which instruments to trade and when to enter the market. Now I have a set of instruments I work with because I've done backtesting. I've tested strategies on past data to see how they would have performed. Now, of course, I don't have absolute certainty because, well, let's face it, no one does. But I now have a lot more guidance than I did before on how and what to trade.
So what made you choose our program over all the other ones out there?
Well, to be honest, it was the seriousness of the academy. I mean, one of the things that stood out to me during the promotional phase of the training program was how Unger almost seemed to discourage people from enrolling. While everyone else out there is promising incredible profits, finding someone who, in a way, almost lightly, tries to dissuade you actually, which gives you confidence. Because, well...
Yeah, as we say in English, trading is not for the faint of heart.
Exactly. And once I joined the program, I found that same level of seriousness that I had sensed during the promotion. I saw it in the sheer abundance of materials and the precise step-by-step way that everything is explained. I had already looked into Unger Academy some time ago, just out of curiosity. But what ultimately convinced me to enroll was the new approach of assigning students a coach, something that I found essential for accelerating the learning process. Sometimes you come across problems that are hard to solve on your own, or you simply just don't know how to approach them, and figuring it out takes time. Having someone to guide you through the first few weeks, to helping you understand how the method works, how to approach it properly, and all the infrastructure behind it, which isn't something that you grasp immediately, I found that incredibly valuable. And that's just another reason that I chose to join the program. I knew that I would have support in areas where I might struggle to find my way alone.
Thank you. Speaking of the essentials, was there a specific part of the program that helped you the most?
Yes, I'd say having a coach was a huge help. But even in terms of the materials themselves, I found that a lot of the ready-made resources from the Academy, like the $1 Million database or the pre-programmed patterns, are absolutely crucial for someone just starting out in this field. You see, when you're a beginner and you have no idea where to start, these resources are essential because they give you inspiration. They provide valuable information, and they help you to understand how to write code and basically what its purpose is. In short, they are fundamental.
Okay. And after putting into practice everything you've learned so far, what kind of results have you achieved?
After applying everything I was taught, along with the help of the software, which shouldn't be underestimated either, because when you decide to go live, Unger's tools, whether it's Bias Finder, Titan for portfolio construction, or now Zeus, which, to be honest, I still need to fully master, they all give you a competitive edge. And that advantage translated, for example, into a 5% gain in the first month and another 5% in the second. Right now, look, I am going through a bit of a drawdown, but hey, that is completely normal, and it's all just part of a trader's journey.
Yeah, it's a normal part of the process, and you get used to it. Like I said before, it's not for the faint of heart.
Exactly, it's like being on a roller coaster.
Exactly. And how's your life changed since reaching these milestones? I know it's still early, but let's ask the question anyway.
Well, yeah, it is still too early to say how my life has changed. But regardless of how things go in the future, whether this does become a full-time job or not, I will always have this knowledge. Even if I don't end up trading full-time, it will still help me as a part-time trader and in managing my investments better. Because whether or not you make it your profession, this is a serious, systematic, and analytical way to manage your savings. Of course, I'm not advising people to go ahead and gamble and put all their savings into it. But yeah, it is definitely a good way to invest your money wisely.
Got it.
It's definitely something that will stay with me for life.
Awesome. I hope so too. We all do. And if you hadn't joined our program, where do you think you'd be right now?
Probably still struggling to fight the market with the limited tools that I had before starting this journey. So, no, I have to say, this has really given me a big push to approach the market with more confidence. Before, well, I was just much more afraid of investing.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Plus, the Academy's programs are really extensive. Right now, I've been focusing on futures, but the program is broad enough to cater to different people. Hey, if you don't want to work with futures, you can learn to trade stocks, options, or crypto. So you really get into a program that changes the way you see the market. Compared to before, when I only knew about options, at least now I'm familiar with a broader range of investment tools.
Yeah, there's still a long way to go, a lot to learn, and plenty of hands-on experience to gain.
You'll never stop learning. Also, this isn't passive income, like some people think. The market evolves, and you need to stay up to date. You have to stay curious and always be willing to learn new things.
That's right. Well said. And one last question. What advice would you give to someone watching this interview who's still on the fence about joining our program?
My advice is to just start, because indecision keeps you stuck. It's like quicksand. The first step toward any great achievement is simply taking action. If this is something that interests you and you feel even remotely inclined toward it, because, well, let's be honest, it does require effort, some study and serious commitment, you then get started. And you'll see that as you progress, the results will start to come in. And you will be confident that you made the right choice. Let's put it that way.
Thank you, Gabriele, for those words of wisdom. I wish you continued success on your trading journey, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
That you spent with us today. Thank you.
It was a pleasure.